talks a lot about our ancestors.
Yes, wonderful. Yeah.
When you were talking about sadness, and you talked about your childhood, and I just wonder if you could share maybe your experience of perhaps sometimes you don't know where the sadness comes from.
Yes.
And maybe it comes from, Thai says that sometimes we carry pain from our ancestors, and
yes,
we can heal that. And I'm just wondering if you could share something about what happens when you don't know where it comes from, but it keeps coming up, and maybe it's something that comes from, way back.
Maybe from way back, yes. Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities, and occasionally you may be able to find someone who can help you determine which is which. There are people who are good at that sort of thing. If that's of interest to you. From a more Buddhist perspective, you don't need to know where it's coming from. You don't want it to be paralyzing, or turn you into stone or something. And each kind of emotion tends to shift you. So you're not so much in charge, you're not so much in control. You're more intuitive and you're more in touch at a wider level, which is what you're describing. We don't know. We don't know where that is, but actually, if you think about it, every moment, everything is there. And then we say, no, but I don't want the sadness thing, I just want the happiness. But every moment, everything is here. So why not be with everything? And not be, what's wrong with me that I feel sadness? Why can't I be like all the happy faces on television and in the media advertising? I mean, it's weird, we have these pictures now. So, sadness is a particular kind of, like Robert Bly writes a poem, he says, how can I be close to you if I'm not sad? What is sorrow for? It is a storehouse of barley, corn, wheat, and tears. One steps to the door on a round stone, and the storehouse feeds all the birds of sorrow. Oh, go ahead, be happy, be stoic, be calm, or in the valley of sorrow, spread your wings. That's a whole different feeling of, rather than I try to get rid of this, is there some way that this actually helps me be more alive? And when you have sadness and sorrow, you're more able to connect with people. You're often quite able and sensitive to connect. So that's number 2. And then number 3, as far as ancestors, I've been doing some classes lately, and we did very early on, you get yourself grounded, and we called each of us, imagine, first ancestors on the mother's side. And then we we bring them to mind as best we can, and then we say, and it's your ancestors, you can make requests of your ancestors that they cannot turn down. So you ask your ancestors, I would like you to, I am asking that you heal whatever has not yet been healed for you, so that you can stand behind me and back me up and empower me in this life here on earth. And your ancestors, and it's not up to you to heal their pain, so you tell them, get on with it. You need to have a certain amount of, grounded. You need to be grounded and embedded here. Take care of some basics, and you bring them to mind. You ask them, and then you say, if you don't know how to heal, to do that healing, then ask for help. Or you can bring you can bring Buddha, or someone, or angels. You bring them to mind. Here's some folks you can work with if you want. Otherwise, find somebody on your own. And then it's not up to you, it's up to them to do it. You've given them the task of healing all their sorrows and pains for generations. It's their work, it's not your work. And sometimes we've mistakenly taken on that kind of work, but that can be a big relief, to give that all back to your ancestors and ask them to do the work they need to do so that they can support you, be present with you, give you insight, give you strength, and insight, vision, instruction, whatever you need, advice. And you can ask that of your ancestors. Both sides. And your adopted parents. And your real parents. And you can do that for your kids. Because your kids are also your blood. So you can ask the ancestors to get behind your kid. Help them out. They go off to college. What are you going to do? Get the ancestors there to hang out with your kids. So you can ask this kind of thing. This isn't exactly Buddhist, but what the heck. But then it's not exactly not Buddhist. And then, of course, as you know, Taiwo also talks about, your ancestors, your blood ancestors, is also your spiritual ancestors. So you can certainly call on them. And at the beginning of today, I went around the room and I got a lot of energy together here. I got the blood ancestors and the spiritual ancestors. I got the bodhisattvas. I got the grandfather, sun, grandmother, earth. I've got this room set up. I'm going to take it down at the end of the day. Because we're not leaving that for the Quakers.